Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the Footy Accumulators Betting Show with me, Will Perry, and the one and only Alan McInally and James Vickers, the two and only, I should say. I've given up on football after watching Manchester slump out of the Champions League. But look, away from City, well, including City as well. Al, incredible matches. 20 goals in the 4 Champions League quarterfinals. Some huge shocks and some unbelievable games.
I think the amount of goals was the one, wasn't it, really? I mean, the Bayern game was incredible, but it just shows you that Bayern have a way of playing, and it is, once they get the jugular, they keep cutting, and they just look for, if they get 5 goals, they want 6. It's as simple as that. And I thought they were really good. I mean, to be fair, the opening 20 minutes was pretty even in terms of, like, you punch us, we'll punch you. But I've got to say that as much as Barcelona have problems, they look a mile away from European champions, even although they've got one of my favourite players that I've ever seen in my life with Messi. And, you know, all of a sudden he wants to leave. He already had a go at his players prior to this, but Bayern were absolutely magnificent. And there's not a lot wrong with the team, to be honest. And we praise Alphonso Davies, and I have done for ages. I told everybody when he came over from Canada, this boy could run in a greyhound race. He's quick, never mind learning to be a football player at Bayern Munich. And obviously with the likes of Lewandowski, and Thomas Müller just gets the biggest pat in the back for me. He's been at Bayern for so long now, and he's so important still for the team, and that just shows you the way he played the other night.
Yeah. I mean, look, that was assist of the season, wasn't it, James? Alphonso Davies?
Yeah, absolutely. The Leon Goretzka one as well for Gnabry in the first half was ridiculous as well, where he chipped it up and over the defence. But yeah, echo Alan's sentiments on Alphonso Davies. Absolutely fantastic. Semedo, decent right back, and he just absolutely embarrassed him. And what I liked about that was, obviously, he beat his man. He's still a young player, so he's not by any means the finished product yet. But as he got into the area, there was 2 or 3 times when he could have just smashed it across goal. But he waited for Piqué to commit himself. He waited for Longley to commit himself, waited till the gap was there, and then played it across. And that little bit where he got to the byline, I thought was sort of overlooked in the commentary. But that was absolutely fantastic, the way he just took it that extra 2 steps in and literally put it on a plate for Joshua Kimmich. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. I thought Goretzka as well was absolutely fantastic in the middle of the park. The way they set the tone and didn't give Barcelona any time on the ball, it was just fantastic to watch.
Say what, Al, I was watching out here in Mallorca. Obviously, a lot of Barcelona fans and a lot of Munich fans. You know, the Germans love it here in Mallorca. I thought it was going to be a civil war when it got to 8-2. Ridiculous scenes in the bars over here, but an amazing quarter-final, which means, guys, that we have on Tuesday RB Leipzig against PSG as semi-final 1, and the second semi-final on Wednesday, Lyon against Bayern Munich. Let's talk about Leipzig PSG first, because Al, I know you've got money on PSG. Backed them a long time ago to lift the Champions League trophy. That could well be a possibility, couldn't it? Look, late heroics for both of these sides in the last 4. PSG, I couldn't believe it. First semi-final of the Champions League in 25 years. Yeah,
I know. This is the one that the kind of Man City-ish, or esque, I should say, that you'd expect them to at least to get to a semi-final. They've never actually managed to get there. I will be astonished if they don't turn over Leipzig. I mean, to God, be fair to Leipzig have done just brilliant, and obviously with no Timo Werner in the team anymore, and still somehow managed to get the job done. Mbappe, Neymar, Icardi, Di Maria, etc. Having said that, I know we're going to go for a first goal, but we can't go for a first goal for PSG if they don't score to the 90th minute. I mean, what a finish to the game. I mean, an unbelievable finish to the game. But I've also had I didn't tell you this because there's no point telling you, because if I tell you this, it probably won't happen. I also had a sneaky bet that PSG would play Bayern in the final.
Okay.
So I'm still kind of there with that one, and I'm thinking about cashing out and just having individual bets for somebody to get to the final. But listen, PSG, it's a long time, and they will be, under massive pressure. There is no pressure on Leipzig, all the pressure on PSG, and we'll see how they can handle it.
And this is the chance, James, isn't it, that Mbappe and that Neymar wanted. And I know they've been banging in goals in Liga and whatever, and they've been earning huge money and, you know, on and off the pitch. But this is what they wanted when they left those, you know, those big clubs in terms of where Mbappe went from Monaco, but, you know, Neymar leaving Barcelona to be on a Champions League semi-final stage. This is what it's all about for them.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think they'll be desperate to get to the final. Obviously, you mentioned PSG there 2 decades not been in a semi-final for the Champions League, which is astonishing when you think the money that they've got and the quality of players they've had over the last sort of 10 years. So yeah, they'll be desperate to get there. I think Leipzig shouldn't be wrote off by any stretch of the imagination. To put out Atletico Madrid and look quite comfortable in that game as well, you know, is a massive pat on the back for Nagelsmann and the rest of that Leipzig squad. I thought they would struggle without Werner there, but they seem to have adjusted their game. And when you've got a centre-back as good and as calm on the ball as Deo Upamecano, who
he was brilliant.
Looks like one of the quickest players in the world, and he's playing centre-back. You know, I think out of any defender left in the competition, I'd say he's the best and probably the best at potentially stopping Neymar and Mbappe if they are running through. So I don't think it'll be easy for PSG. You know, they looked a little bit sort of shaky against Atalanta, who are a very good side as well. I think in terms of the semi-finals, this is going to be the harder of the 2-2 call. I think PSG will just shade it, but Leipzig have got a very, very good shout of making it potentially an all-German final.
That's a good point, James, because you forget about what Leipzig have actually done to get to this position. And if you go back 1-2 games, would you have said they would have turned over Tottenham over 2 games and winning both games, incidentally? So they've certainly got something about them for sure. The boy Upamecano was just unbelievable. And by the way, he will not be a Leipzig player next year. No chance.
Well, look, we talk about Leipzig players, and we've mentioned Alphonso Davies at Bayern Munich. What about Angelino? As a Manchester City fan, we let him go to PSV. He had a great season there, brought him back on a buyback clause. And then suddenly he goes to Leipzig and he looks like he's rivaling Alphonso Davies for the best left-back in the world all of a sudden. What's all that about?
It was really good. It was really good. I mean, James, you maybe saw more of them than I have because I don't know. Well, rather, I should ask you, Will. We didn't see him too many times at Man City, did we?
No. He played a little bit, and then I think the nail in the coffin for him was when Zinchenko started playing left back, and you know we'd already had Delph playing there, and he's actually a left back and couldn't get even in the match day squad.
Yeah, exactly.
Says all.
Maybe,
look,
to be fair, maybe Man City was just a bit too big. Sorry, Will, on you go.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. Look, when we talk about PSG, guys, since Ligue 1 was cancelled, and we have to remind everyone, Ligue 1 went, didn't it? And they didn't play any league games, but they've since then gone unbeaten, lifted the Coupe de France trophy, the Coupe de la Ligue title as well. You know, can they shake off, I guess the question is, the bottler tag? Because that's what they've been given PSG, Al, haven't they, over the last 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, they have. And that's why I said I think they're under more pressure than Leipzig. And if they underestimate Leipzig, you can see them being turned over for sure. That's why I'm thinking with a little bet I've got that not only do I cash out on PSG winning it, but I cash out them not even getting to the final to play Bayern, who I think will beat Lyon, but we'll get to that later on. The likes of Marquinhos and the defenders, they have to be as good as Bayern, or we threw in Upamecano the other way. Leipzig have defended against Athletic Madrid. That's what they're going to have to do at times, and that's where they're going to have to step up a bit. It's all right saying we've got Icardi, we've got Di Maria, we've got Mbappe, we've got Neymar, but they ain't going to stop the ball going in the back of the net, and that's what they'll have to concentrate on. It's not. It's amazing to score the 8-2 against Barcelona, because normally when you get to this stage of a competition, it's about, do we have that extra special something at our goal scoring end, because we're rock solid at the back. And so far, PSG have been miles away from that.
Yeah, when you look at the odds, James, with MansionBet, RB Leipzig 33-10 for the win, PSG 4-5 favourites, and we have to remember, don't we, with RB Leipzig as well, that Europe has been a real highlight for them. They finished the Bundesliga season an alarming amount of draws, but to beat Tottenham and to beat Atletico in the knockout stage is quite incredible. Without, we should say, in one of those ties, Timo Werner, the main man.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, especially with the way it is now over one leg, it suits Leipzig a lot more. They can afford to sit back with the likes of Klostermann, Upamecano, who are very good defenders and hit teams on the break. I think PSG will have a lot of the ball and do a lot of attacking, so there is that space in behind. And when you've got players like Sabitzer, Dani Olmo, who we've not even talked about yet, or I thought Sabitzer in particular was outstanding against Atletico Madrid, you shouldn't discount them whatsoever. So I think definitely it is going to be a tough game. Leipzig have done fantastically well, and yeah, we shouldn't write them off by any stretch of the imagination. And I think, sort of looking at those odds, I might have a little bet on Leipzig. So I just have a feeling that Nagelsmann is going to go sort of one further and take them to the final with the way that they've been playing.
Yeah, what we're thinking then for first goal scorer odds in this one. And I want to remind everyone as well that, of course, MansionBet have got that offer on right now called First Covers Last, which means you get your stake back if you get your first goal scorer bet wrong, but your chosen player scores last instead. So first covers last, MansionBet, Mbappe 10-3 for first goal scorer, Neymar 4-1, Icardi 9-2. On the other side, Sheik 15-2, Sabitzer 17-2, Forsberg 9-1. James, what would you be going for in this one?
I can't look past Mbappe. If he starts, he didn't start the other night because he was still a bit sort of 50-50, but he came on in the end. So I'd imagine that they would put him in from the start with, 2 games left. It's not really a risk sort of starting him when they're desperate to get to a final, and you just can't look past Mbappe when he plays. If I was to go for a Leipzig player, Dani Olmo's a great price at 9-1. The threat that he carries sort of in the final third, I wouldn't be sort of looking past him. Poulsen again, but he's more of that Bobby Firmino type player where he's involved in the build-up, doesn't score as many goals as Timo Werner would. So I think Dani Olmo's a great shout. But yeah, if I was choosing one to put a bet on, it's got to be Mbappe for me.
Same for you, Al, Mbappe?
Well, only because I think he's just so sensational, the boy. But I can't think that Klosterman and Upamecano is going to give him about 3 inches space, to be honest. So I'd be really tempted. You said 92 Icardi, which is a big price. He might have a little space in and around where they think that Mbappe will not want them to go. I'd be tempted with Icardi. I like the boy Poulsen. I think he's got a goal in him. And I was a little, well, maybe not a little surprised. That's unfair because he brought Patrick Schick on, James, didn't he? He was on the bench and then brought Patrick Schick on. I always think he's a bit, and like they got him from Roma, worked in the beginning, didn't work in the end, and he's always been a goal threat for Leipzig. So I'll throw Patrick Schick in and Icardi only because it's a little bit different what James has said, and I can't help thinking that Mbappe won't be given an inch of space, and it'll be more difficult for him for sure.
We've got to decide on one then. What we're going to go for. James thinks Mbappe. You're going Schick. You're going for a Leipzig opening goal. Al, we've got to choose one, and we're going to get it boosted by MansionBet. What are we going to settle on?
Well, I want James to pick this because I'm hopeless at first scorers.
All right, well, we'll go for James's Mbappe then, shall we? 10-3,
so, yeah.
Boosted by MansionBet as well for that.
Absolutely, Mbappe's a man.
Tuesday. On to Wednesday's game then. Another really exciting one. Lyon against Bayern Munich. Of course, it should have been Manchester City against Bayern Munich, which we all wanted to see, but we fluffed our lines as we have done many times before. Look, Lyon 21-2 to get into the final. Bayern Munich, the favourites for the competition. The favourites for this game, of course, as well. 2-9 for a Bayern Munich win. Do Lyon, I'll go for exactly the same approach against Manchester City. So counter.
Yeah. They can't go toe to toe here with Bayern. Actually, I think this has landed in Bayern's lap here. I think Lyon will not be able to cope with Bayern Munich. I think the game, if City had managed to somehow get through, I think it would have been a much more difficult game for Bayern Munich. And I can see Bayern ripping a hole in Lyon. I really can. Listen, Lyon have done absolutely brilliant. And the boy Coronet did me a massive favour by scoring first. It's just that City couldn't finish off the job because I had Lyon to score first and City to win the game. Couldn't believe it. But they are a good team, by the way. And Rudy Garcia's done a great job there. Remember, there's something you have to remember here about playing in European teams against each other. As much as Lyon will be looking forward to this, they will be running absolutely scared of Bayern Munich, what they did to Barcelona. And they will be very defensive-minded and try and hit Bayern on the break. The problem with that is David Alaba is quick. We've spoken about Alfonso, and they're going to have the night of all nights, and the goalkeeper's going to have the night of all nights, because I cannot see Bayern not scoring at least 3 goals. And I don't see Lyon having that in the team.
And James, I could not believe it that Lyon finished 7th in Ligue 1. 7th. So teams like Nice finishing above them. And I know they soaked up a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of quality in that side. Defensively, they were brilliant, but defensively, they're going to have to take it to a whole new level, aren't they, against a team like Bayern?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought the City game, Pep tinkered with it a bit too much and just took that sort of creative threat that City are known for out of the team. So while Lyon defended well for sort of the first 60 minutes, there wasn't really that threat that I expected from City. But yeah, Bayern Munich, completely different threat. You think you're stopping Lewandowski, but then you got Perisic and Gnabry on the wings. You stop them, you've got Muller down the middle. You stop them, you've got Goretzka, Kimmich, Thiago. coming in as well. So they've got to have game of their lives all across the pitch. Everyone's got to be on it. And even though they've done fantastically well to get past Juventus and Man City, I think Bayern Munich is going to be just a step too far for them. That's not to say they're a bad team. Obviously, fantastic to put those two teams out who were probably two of the favourites at the start of the year. But yeah, Bayern Munich, just the way that they've been playing. And I think after the Barcelona game, there was an interview with Leon Goretzka, which summed it up perfectly. They said, did you feel sorry for Messi and Suarez as you got to 5 and 6? And he said, no, we found it funny, actually. Which, sums up their mentality of they're not going to get to 5 and stop. They want to keep going. And it could have easily been into double figures, that game.
I want to mention 3 players. The boy Kakare is a really good player. Does a great job in the middle of the park. So is Aouar. How does it? Aouar?
Yeah, City tried to sign him, aren't they?
They did, exactly, yeah. And I'm thinking, he's a good player. The boy Guimaraes is a good player. Then Belly all of a sudden is getting shooting boots on. And the boy Cornet, I've been speaking about him for ages in the Champions League because I thought he might end up actually on our shores. So they do have players that are pretty good. And they will fit. In fact, if they're 70% fit, they'll play. And I don't want to go back to the Man City thing. But James just mentioned Pulisic and Lewandowski and Kimmich and Goretzka, Gnabry, etc., etc. They'll all play. How does City not play David Silva against Leon? That's what kind of, we talked about he tinkered with the team, Pep. And I can't really have a go at Pep because he's done it all. He just hasn't done particularly brilliant in the Champions League at Man City by going and win it. So I thought that was an advantage for Leon. Bayern won't tinker the team. You can write the team down right now as long as everybody's at least 75%, and that's what we're going to have to deal with. And I think that's why Bayern will win.
Yeah. Okay, here's a quiz question for you both without getting your Googles out. When was the last time that Bayern Munich lost a game in all competitions? James, I've got a feeling you might get this one. I guess. Did they last lose a match? Give me a month.
The last one I can remember is, I think they lost in November against Eintracht Frankfurt, which was Kovac's last game. But I could be wrong.
And the game was at Bayern, I think, wasn't it?
Well, the last game, it wasn't far after November, but December the 7th, 2019 was the last time that they've lost against Mönchengladbach 2-1, which is incredible, bearing in mind that their season wasn't curtailed, was it? And they played out the full Bundesliga season, and then, of course, all the knockout games and the German Cup games as well. Absolutely.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I'm only saying this because he's a pal of mine. When Hansi Flick took over, Bayern were 5th or 6th or something like that. It's not as if they were still sitting 3rd or 4th. Bayern were struggling. I think Kovac had come out and said, we can't play the pressing game with the team we've got. And Hansi changed even the philosophy and did exactly what Kovac said they couldn't do. And all of a sudden, Bayern just went whoosh, bye-bye.
Yeah, incredible. So what are we thinking then for first goal scorer for this one? I think we're all agreed that Bayern will win this one. But look, it'll be fascinating, won't it, this game? Just like we thought that Atalanta had a chance and they were in it right to the end against PSG. It could be the same with this one and Leon. First goal scorer. Can we look past Lewandowski on this one? No, I think we're both absolutely happy with that one, aren't we? Lewandowski then, first goal scorer. You can see the odds on the screen for that one in that semi-final between Leon and Bayern Munich. And reminder that MansionBet have got that offer on right now. First covers last, which means you get stake back. It's a really good offer if your first goal scorer bet goes wrong and your chosen player scores last instead of first. So before we move on and talk about Lionel Messi, I want to just we're not going to do an acca on 2 games, obviously. So let's pick 2 Champions League semi-final winners and a first goal scorer double and see what MansionBet can do for that to sex up that one for us.
Yeah.
Are we happy then with going Bayern Munich and PSG, Lewandowski and Mbappe? Or does anyone want to change any of that?
I don't. James, I don't know. I've thrown in a couple of Cardi, etc. I think that's the most sensible line to go down because it's the most
obvious one,
probable thing that's going to happen. Yeah. Plus, as well, if MansionBet are going to boost our odds, then I'm happy to take every bit of that.
James, you happy? You want to tinker with it?
No, happy with that. I think the only potential one would be Mbappe. Might not have the space like Al said, but looking at Mbappe, you can't look past him. Lewandowski, I can't believe he only got 1 of the 8 as well against Barcelona with how ruthless they were. So he'll be desperate to get another few goals and increase his tally. So I'd expect him to definitely score against Lyon. So yeah, absolutely happy with that.
Okay, there we go. If you want to copy us and fail like we have done all season, or maybe we're going to go out with a bang in these last 2 shows. But there we go. We're going to go for Bayern Munich and PSG and then Mbappe and Lewandowski. So a semi-final first goal scorer double for the Champions League, the last 4. Right, we've got to talk about Lionel Messi, because when this story flagged up on my phone or my computer, Lionel Messi wants to leave Barcelona. I mean, how many million times have we seen that over the last 10 years? But where this story is coming from, and reportedly a bit of weight behind it. He said particularly this season that he wants to restructure, and then after that Champions League game, he says he wants to get out of there immediately. He's got a contract, guys, until June 2021, so he's going to go into the last year of his contract. Guess what his release clause is, even in the last year of his contract? Have a go, James.
It's got to be something, a couple of 100 mil, I'd say. Something about 300 mil.
So he's in the last year of his contract, Al. He's 33 years old. He's ridiculous. Yeah. The best that there's ever been. £633 million is his release clause. Can you believe it?
Wow. 633 mil.
Obviously, there are going to be teams now on alert. And as a City fan, I've sat there for the last 5 years thinking, we're going to sign him, and then realised we're never going to sign him. But is this the chance for someone like Manchester City, with Pep, who knows him so well, to go and get him? Because if he wants out and he's not happy, with the way that it's not just the team are playing, but the structure of the club and everything that's going on with Eric Abidal and the appointment of Kiko Setien and all the above. 33 years old, the guy is still in ridiculous form. 31 goals, 26 assists from 44 appearances in all comps this season. Yeah. Does he leave the Nou Camp, Al, or is this all a load of nonsense once again?
The only thing I'd say genuinely about this is, and by the way, what's a buyout clause? Nobody's spending 633 million on him, by the way. So he's obviously, if he goes, he's going for less than that. That's because nobody's going to pay that. But you're right. We've always thought that Messi, having been there for so long, would eventually, like you said, 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago, leave. But I've never heard him genuinely come out and say, that's it for me, I want to leave. I don't remember him ever saying that. I've only ever heard people saying, wouldn't it be great if you could get Messi? I don't remember him, and James might be able to correct me here. I've never heard Messi, A, have a go at the players as much as he did, B, have a strange and cantankerous relationship with the likes of Abidal and everybody upstairs, and he said, that's it, I'm out. So for me, there is no way he's going to be at Barcelona next year.
Wow, okay. James, no way he's going to be at Barcelona next year. Where does he go, or is he staying?
I'm leaning towards. I've always thought as Messi as he would just stay at Barcelona his whole career, but obviously something's not right there. Alan mentioned obviously the problems that he's had with Abidal have been quite public. The 7th and 8th Bayern Munich goals as well. I was watching the highlights back, and both times he lost the ball, and he just seemed completely disinterested when he lost them. Obviously, you're 4 goals down with 10 minutes to go, so realistically, you're not going to get back into it. But compared to other top quality players, there's that pride that you're playing for even at that scoreline. And to lose the ball and turn around and start walking back to the halfway line before Bayern have even put the ball in the net just showed to me, especially for him, that something's not right there. It's like he'd given up, which, for Messi, who can change a game single-handedly, I don't associate him with that. So, yeah, I'm leaning more towards the side now that he will leave. Where would he go? I have no idea who could realistically afford, if they were going to take, say, half the buyout clause or get down to something like that. The only potential one I could see is if, obviously, Neymar's made no secret that he'd like to go back to Barcelona. If there was potentially a swap deal or a bit of player plus cash, something like that with PSG, obviously they could afford him. I'd love to see him in the Premier League for a season or two. So maybe Man City with the money that you have.
James, there's only 5 clubs that can get him.
Yep.
Manchester City, PSG, Bayern Munich, Juventus, and Manchester United. I forget about everybody else. Genuinely forget. And by the way, Bayern won't take him. PSG would have him in a heartbeat. Manchester United would definitely want him. City, with a connection with Pep Guardiola for sure. And the only thing is, are we having Juve, having Messi and Ronaldo in the same team? I don't know, is that allowed? Is that cheating? I'm not sure, I don't know. You can't have the two best players in the world in the same team. But I go back to what you're saying. I'm saying, I think he'll definitely leave. I have never heard him speak the way he's spoken. That's why I think he'll leave. But there's only those 5 clubs can get him and take Bayern out of the equation. It'll be really interesting. And I can't wait to see how much he would go for. Something that must, and then if he does go, I don't think this 633 mil will be with the price for a 33-year-old, even though he is Lionel Messi.
I thought you were going to put a 6th finger up or a thumb and then say Preston North End as well and get James.
Well, I was tempted, very tempted, but apparently they've ruled themselves out of the list already.
my only sort of penny's worth from a City point of view, and obviously I don't think you'd find a City fan who wouldn't have him just as an experiment for a year or two to see what he could do in the Premier League. You look at Cheeky Bergerstein and Ferran Soriano, who obviously know him very well from Barcelona and got Pep to Manchester City in the first place. You look at City's transfer record, and everyone says, "Oh, City go and spend all the money," and they do over a consecutive period of time, but not particularly on one player. The highest fee that City have dished out is 62 million quid for Rodri. Before that, 60 million quid for Mahrez. Before that, 56 for Kevin De Bruyne. They don't go and spend in the hundreds like Barcelona, like PSG. But he is an absolute exception, isn't he? And I just wonder where he could go this summer.
Just before we carry on, and I know you're a big Man City fan. Would you like Messi at Manchester City? I know it's a kind of stupid question, but he is 33, and will it be enough for him to regenerate himself and have the Messi that we remember even just 2 years ago?
I think you have to examine anyone's head who would say they wouldn't want Lionel Messi at their club, no matter what the situation, no matter how old he is. I think you look in the Champions League game before for Barcelona and what he can do in a match of seconds, and how he's a match winner. He's a game changer, isn't he? I mean, City got wide players coming out of their ears, but he could play anywhere across that front 6 at times. For City, I'd have him in a heartbeat at the Etihad for sure. I guess a lot depends, James, as well for Lionel Messi and his thinking this season on the manager. Ronald Koeman, apparently, according to Guillaume Balaguer, is set to come in and replace Quique Setien in the next 24, 48 hours. Setien is obviously dead man walking, isn't he? There in terms of that job. Pochettino or Ronald Koeman, James? Who's going to get the job at Bayern Munich? Do you think? At Barcelona, I should say.
I think it'll probably be Koeman. Pochettino, obviously, he's got that connection with Espanyol. Said 5 years ago he'd never manage Barcelona. Obviously, a lot can change in 5 years, so he may be thinking, I've been out of work for a while. This is, a once-in-a-lifetime job. And it's obviously everything changed in football, in a click of of your fingers. So I wouldn't be surprised if Pochettino went, but I think with the way that Guillaume Balaguer is speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Koeman. If Messi is to stay, I think they've really got to spend money this summer. I was looking at their bench for the Bayern Munich game thinking, how can they change it when they were 4-2 down? And there was only Griezmann. And Barcelona, when you look at them 5 years ago, they had so much on the bench. And now it's just full of academy graduates and, 18, 19-year-old players who, need another 3 or 4 years to get to the level where they're at. So big investment would be needed. I think Koeman would probably be the better man at the two if they were the 2 front runners.
Yeah, going to be a fascinating few weeks, isn't it? Because let's not forget that the seasons all start, don't they? First, second week of September across Europe. So where will Lionel Messi be? And that transfer window may be well extended when into October or so on. But big decision for the little Argentinian, the best in the world, isn't he? Right, good to see you guys. Enjoy the Champions League semi-finals. Remember, if you're looking for additional stats and trends ahead of this week's Champions League action, go and download the Footy Accumulators Betting Hub app. Check out this smart ACCA function. Remember, you've got to be 18 plus to bet. Please gamble responsibly. We'll see you next week where we'll be talking about the Champions League final.